Croeso I Cymru. Stage and Screen has gone international. Well, we travelled 2 hours to Wales, but that totally counts. Today we're in the City of Arcades, Cardiff, to interview BAFTA Cymru award-winning costume designer Lindsay Bonaccorsi. During her illustrious career, Lindsay has navigated her way through the world of costume and wardrobe, performing roles such as costume maker, costume supervisor and assistant designer across TV, film, stage, prestigious sporting events such as the Rugby World Cup, and across countless TV audience favourites such as Torchwood, Casualty and Doctor Who. Her beautifully styled pieces, her naturally collaborative approach to costume design and her innate flair for colour and character led her to win the BAFTA Cymru Award for Best Costume Design, further solidifying her place within the industry as a go-to designer. She's also one of the loveliest, most down-to-earth people I've ever had the pleasure to meet. Lindsay and I worked together on Casualty a couple of years ago, and I'm so happy to be interviewing her today, so you can all discover the wonderful work that she's doing behind the scenes. The NEU, Misha Bryan, and this is Stage and Screen.
3, 2, 1, let's go!
Lindsay!
Hello, Misha.
Hello! Welcome to Stage and Screen.
Thanks for asking me on.
Oh my gosh, we're so glad to have you. And Bubs, I know I say this all the time, but we keep going to these amazing houses. It's just gorgeous in here.
Oh.
Honestly, it's just, but also I knew.
Did you?
I was like, we're going to Lindsay's house. It's going to be fabulous.
Oh.
It's going to be arty and joyful.
It's, a lot of personality.
Yes, absolutely, just like you. So, yes, here we are. Mm-hmm. And costume designer.
Yes.
Absolutely. Sorry, I've completely lost my train of thought.
That's
So I was looking at the rhino on the cushion there. This can be in the outtakes.
Do you want me to turn it over so you don't have to look at the rhino?
It's not distracting, because there's a lot of animals on there, so I'm going to go through all of them.
Should we turn it over so you don't have to look at them?
Just grow up, Mish, grow up. Yes, okay.
Right, okay, we won't get distracted by the rhino in the corner. It's not the elephant in the room, it's the rhino.
In the corner. I'm so sorry. Professional.
Okay, we're good.
So I've been looking through your website, stalking you on your website, and I saw some of your childhood photos, and I saw that you like to dress up when you were little. So did you always know that you were going to be involved in costume design and things like that from an early age?
I think so, yes. I mean, that's one of my strongest memories from childhood, is having this huge dressing up box that was just things that were donated, things that were my auntie's clothes, my mum's clothes, anything sparkly, hats, It wasn't kind of shop-bought fancy dress clothes. Mm-hmm. It was very much, whatever was in the dressing up box, we would kind of play. And it was things like, Cindy and Barbie dolls and making costumes. So it was there from a really early age. And I think that path was set pretty much from then.
So were you like as a child, were you just throwing things on, or were you considering things? Like, did you notice yourself going, oh, that would go with that and this would work?
Yeah, I think it was definitely, there was always a theme, there was always a costume there. I'm the eldest of 4 sisters, so as they came along, they used to get roped into whatever play I was putting on, and I would, my poor parents and grandparents had to sit through many things. Right. But it would come from an idea, an outfit. I also had very creative parents, but my mum in particular always sewed. She would always make us costumes. I remember her cutting up dresses. I think she cut up her wedding dress when Charles and Diana got married, and there was a street party, and she cut her wedding dress up to make a wedding costume for my younger sister. I know, so, there was always that kind of creativity there. But there were many sort of plays and performances, and of course I had three younger sisters that I could just dress up and make them perform. So there was always something there. It was never particularly random. I was always a character. They were always a character.
Oh my gosh! So were these self-penned plays, or?
Yeah, they were kind of, they may have been loosely based on, fairy tales or something like that. Sometimes they'd be like dance performances because we all went to ballet lessons from a really early age.
Fantastic.
So there was a lot of dancing going on, and I can just remember sitting there with a pile of 7-inch singles, and we'd sort of put something on, and the costume might come from, whatever single we were playing. So it was. I think we're all very creative. Coming from a creative family, and it's just in your bones, I think.
Yeah. So. Have your sisters gone on to be in the creative industries?
Yes, and we're all in sort of different aspects. So one was a sort of clothes and textiles designer who went on to be a buyer for Topshop. Cool. She now runs a shop in Cardigan, which is sort of homewares and beautiful kind of Welsh independent brand. So she does that. Another sister also was a designer for packaging and greetings cards, things like that. She's gone on. She was a buyer at one point as well for Peacocks, right. And she now runs like a sort of creative consultancy. And then my other sister was a hairdresser, absolutely fantastic hairdresser. That was all she ever wanted to do. Trained with Vidal Sassoon, and now she's a teacher at college. So she is like a educator but teaches hairdressing.
Wow.
So we are all very creative. But in different fields, so it's lovely.
That is really nice. And but it's all branched off from your mom and all that, that influence.
Definitely. And I can really remember as well, both my grandparents having, jewellery boxes. You'd have the dressing table and there was the jewellery box. My one grandma used to wear quite a lot of wigs, which I was absolutely fascinated with,
right.
And just sort of going through their wardrobe and seeing nice textures of things, seeing things that had, a bit of glitter through. Yeah. So I think it all comes from that, having those influences around you at an early age. And that just dressing up and playing.
Yeah. And also, I guess, because you said that the clothes they weren't shop bought, they were kind of made and kind of torn apart and brought back together again. You're then gaining skills because you're saying that your mum was always sewing. Was it hand sewing or was it on the machine or?
Kind of both, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can remember her making me a dress that I'd seen when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, and I'd seen this black lace dress with a rose on it, which I absolutely loved, and she just, I can make you that. And she did. It was my party dress. No. So she would always, make things. So my mum would hand sew and machine sew and taught me to use a sewing machine from an early age. Just having those hands-on skills, I think, really, that were passed down, and all of us sisters can sew to some degree.
Yeah.
And just having that kind of passion and that resourcefulness to think, well, I can cut this up and sew this together and make something new. And I think it's a really good skill, but it's obviously stood all of us in good stead, I think, in our careers.
Definitely. And so you went to the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Were you like, oh? So was there an audition to get in? Did you have to make something or anything like that, or was it just an application?
I applied to do a postgrad there because I'd already done a silversmithing and jewellery course in Loughborough, which is where I met Matt, my husband.
Right.
Again, it's the hands-on skills, even though I was working with metal, it's those hands-on skills. And then really, my heart was always with costume, and I started applying to theatres to work. But because I didn't have anything on paper to say that I could sew, that I could work with clothes, I wasn't getting anywhere with it. So I applied to Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama for a postgraduate course, which was just 1 year, and I had an interview and just took my portfolio of things that I'd made, and it was fantastic. And I think they asked me in the interview, what I hoped to get out of it, why I was applying, and I just remember having a really clear idea of what I was going to say going into that interview, which I think really helps. And I just knew that I needed to go and I needed to learn pattern cutting. I needed to learn how a theatre worked, which that's what happens at that college. It's brilliant. It runs like a proper theatre. You've got the acting students, you've got the stage management students, so you all work together. It was a real turning point, I think, and it was what spurred me on to get a career in costume.
Yeah, I mean, that's great, isn't it? Because you think sometimes with the creative stuff, it's like, well, I can act, well, I can sing, well, I can sew, I can make, I can do this stuff, but you just need that little bit of paper for people to go, oh, yes, stamped now, that kind of thing. But it might have been a little bit frustrating, but at the same time, it's that thing of you gain so much experience because I'm guessing they're putting on shows and you've got deadlines for the costumes to be ready for the shows that were happening there, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And making all those connections with people. Are you still connected with people that you went to college with
Absolutely,
there?
I really am, I'm really connected with lots of them. Lots of them from my course. Lots of people are still in Cardiff working, still sort of know some of the actors that were in that same year from some of the shows. So, yeah, it was such a worthwhile thing to do. And definitely, I don't think I would be where I am if I hadn't done that course.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, it's so interesting. I'm so glad to hear that there's still lots of people working, because after COVID hit and everything, and lots of people just exited the industry, especially with actors and things, they're just like, just can't.
Yeah, it was so hard. Yeah.
Yes, I'm glad that we're here with you and you're still going
strong. Still doing it.
Absolutely, and then you've got loads of friends who are still. It's brilliant. Yeah, that the creative industries are still,
We're still
ticking
there.
over.
Yeah, and we have had a really tough time, and like COVID hit everybody really hard.
Yeah.
I think I was actually on an episode of Casualty when we shut down.
Oh right.
And everything just stopped. And I can remember thinking, the longer we went through lockdown, how are we ever going to start up again? Because it's so personal, it's addressing people and being in that close proximity to people.
Yeah.
But we did, and we came through it. And, the industry's had quite a tough time with like writers' strikes, different sort of commissioners change, you've got the streaming services to sort of compete with. So it's a constantly like changing landscape. And sometimes you'll have really good years, as I'm sure you know as well. And then sometimes you think, where's everything gone? Yeah. It's really quiet, but we're still here, and it's really encouraging.
Yeah, for sure. But I know that you didn't rest on your laurels during COVID because were you making masks or you were making?
I decided to set up in COVID. I'd had an idea for a kids t-shirt business based on fancy dress for so long.
Right.
And I'd done a little screen printing course maybe a year or so before, and I sort of played around with this idea of kind of dressing up for kids that don't want to dress up in the full costume, for everybody who wants to kind of, be in a crown and a huge cloak or something. There's a child that's kind of like a little bit, embarrassed, but kind of still wants to join in.
Yeah.
So I sort of started this t-shirt business that was screen printed costumes. So we had things like, we had a pirate t-shirt, we had a one with wings on the back, we had a mermaid kind of t-shirt, and just started that in lockdown. And the lovely people from the print house used to live across the road from me. So they've moved now, so we would do kind of like stealth deals. So I would ring them and go, right, I'm sending you some artwork, and I'd sort of go and put it on their doorstep, and they'd go off and print it, and then they go, well, we're coming back, and they'd put a box of t-shirts on the driveway. And then started selling online, which was great.
Fantastic.
And it was really lovely, and that kept going for sort of throughout lockdown, and then kept it going for a couple of years. We did some Christmas sweatshirts and things like that, and then things went back to normal, and work took over again. But it was really good fun, and it was nice to have something that was creative. So it meant that I was drawing constantly, thinking constantly. When we could sort of bubble, we did a socially distant photo shoot with Katie Barrett, who's a friend, who's a local photographer.
Okay.
And we took all the sort of nieces and nephews, because they could kind of be together, and we went out and we did photo shoot with the t-shirts.
Fantastic.
And it was just like, different ways of being creative and trying to kind of keep that going throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping yourself busy, keeping your children busy as well.
Definitely. Yeah, it was good fun. Although I think they'd had quite enough of the photo shoots by the end. I was like, quick, here's a new design, put this on. Like,
no more modelling.
No more. But it was good fun.
That's great. So then also, I'm guessing that you're a really good artist as well, like with the pen and paper and stuff.
Oh, I love drawing.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of my real sort of passions, drawing. And if you sort of pursue that route with art college, you tend to do like an art foundation between your sort of A levels and then go into college. And I think that's a really, really invaluable course to do, because it's kind of like a year where you don't have too much pressure, but everyone gets to try out things. So you might be doing painting, drawing, ceramics, textiles, and yeah, drawing has always been like one of my really strong passions.
Oh,
so yeah, and both
good.
my children draw constantly as well.
Oh,
so
brilliant.
every day we go through so much paper.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Amazing.
We need to kind of buy it in bulk now, but yeah, lots of paper.
Fantastic. So being a costume designer, is being able to draw like a fundamental skill that you have to have, or is that not really?
No, not really. I mean, it's always, I think in theatre, when I was sort of in theatre, lots of designers would, they would draw their costume designs, especially if you're passing it on to like a costume maker, you're having something, bespoke made, you're having something period made or fantasy. But lots of costume designers now will, we'll work through mood boards. We will pull images from, the internet, from photographs, from books. So it tends to be now, unless you're doing something very specific, very sort of period or very fantasy specific, you just sort of kind of do a mood board, which kind of gives you a flavour of what you're thinking. Colour palettes, things like that. Right. So it's not absolutely essential at all. So
okay.
Yeah.
Because I was just wondering, because with the costume designer, so once you've designed it, is it like, and now that's my baby into the world, and then other people kind of take it on, or are you kind of around on set, kind of making sure that everything's running smoothly?
So I'm usually there. Lots of different costume designers work in different ways, but I'm very much sort of hands-on, and I will always go to the set to kind of establish a new costume. Also, I tend to do quite a lot of contemporary stuff, so things like Casualty, but also other contemporary dramas. So I might start off with, I think this character should wear this, and then maybe the casting changes and it's a different person, it's a different body shape, or it's just like, well, actually this person isn't going to fit what I initially thought. Also, with fittings and things, it's very much a kind of movable feast, really. We'll start with a rail of costumes or a rail of clothes, and it's about playing and what that performer or that actor feels comfortable in. Sometimes you think you've hit on something, and a director or producer will go, "Oh, actually, no, I don't like that." So it's never, for me, I've done this costume and that's it, goodbye.
Yeah.
And I will always go to set as well and just, check how it looks on camera. Quite often we'll camera test things. If something has got a pattern or a stripe, or is it an unusual colour, how is this going to react, under the light? So I feel, for me, it's never quite signed off until you've turned over and you've kind of, it's on camera.
Right, I've got you.
Yeah.
So when you're doing a camera test, because obviously we're never privy to the camera test, are you literally just holding it up in front of the camera just to see and moving it around like the piece, or you never have to put it on? Obviously.
Well, it's a variety of things, really. If I've just bought something and I'm not sure, I'll send it to set, and in between setups, one of my assistants will kind of walk it around the set in different lightings. If we're doing, for example, the job that I've just finished now, we did a proper day of camera tests. So we did it with our lead actress, and we just put her into different costumes, and we worked with hair and makeup as well. So she had different makeup, different hair, different lighting. So you're working with all those departments. You're working with the director of photography as well, to look at different lighting states and how different colours are going to react, what filters they're going to put on.
Right.
Yeah, so it varies really depending on what the job requires. But if I am just if I've literally just bought something and I'm not sure about it and I want to put it on like that afternoon, or I want to put it on somebody the next day, I'll just like send it to set and we'll go literally just move it around.
I've got you.
So that's quite an instant thing. But
Yeah.
if you're doing a proper camera test, then you would have it either on your actor, or sometimes you might use a stand-in, for lighting, just to sort of see how things move and look on camera.
Cool. So when you get a new job in,
Yes.
how far in advance before principal shooting do you get the script and everything, and so you're able to read through and go, ooh, this is what I think this person might wear? How long do you get?
Again, it varies. So quite often, if I'm going for an interview for a job, they might send me 1 or 2 scripts up front, so I'll read those, and then when you have the interview you can kind of come prepared, and you can usually bring like some visual reference with you, some early mood boards. It's just like broad strokes, so this is what I'm thinking.
Right.
So usually before I've even got the job, I've got an idea of what is going on, and those scripts will go through lots of changes until you get the shooting script. But generally, it depends really. It depends on the job, but I might have, between 6 and 4 weeks prep if it's a contemporary drama. If it's something like Casualty, I think you have 2 weeks prep as a designer, because it's so fast paced.
Right.
And it moves so fast. And then also you've got your core team, you've got your series designer that's already kind of set up the general look of it.
Right.
And you're just coming in to do the guest artists. So yeah, it really varies really.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're waiting on last minute script changes. Sometimes you're waiting on last minute casting as well, because the casting director might offer out to different people who maybe can't do it, or the dates don't work. So sometimes, it's not ideal, but sometimes I am fitting cast like literally the day before they'll film, or the morning of. I mean, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
And if it's a principal cast member, you would have them in sort of weeks before, and you would maybe have 2 or 3 fit-ins along the way. But yeah, it's all down to whatever the project is, and I think it's very important to be kind of prepared and flexible in my job, because you never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a funny one with costume, because like with me having done like lots of shows and things like that before, and people will come in and be like, oh, I don't like that outfit or something like that, and it's like, yeah, but you're not really wearing it because you're acting.
Yes.
It's like your character likes that outfit. Have you ever had those discussions where somebody's like, I don't want to wear it because I don't like it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And I always take on board, the actors' thoughts about things as well. But it's really important that, you don't dress them as themselves, because they're not playing themselves.
That's it, yeah.
So sometimes they've been cast because they are, similar to the character that they want to portray. But I just think it's really important that you give that character their own identity, and down to jewellery and things, because we all wear jewellery that's personal to us.
Yeah.
But actually you don't necessarily want that if you're playing a different character. So and I think it's important to involve your actors as well, and I try generally not to put them in something they're going to be very uncomfortable in.
Yeah.
But and most actors, I think, are really good, and they're really on board with it.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
it's playing, isn't it? It's dressing up, and it's all character development. So it should be fun.
Yeah. And it helps people get into character. When you watch someone as solid as you, because you've really thought about it. It's not like just put these pair of trousers on because we had them in the back.
Yeah.
They'll fit. Yeah, it's not like that. You've really thought about it, and I guess it's a mutual respect as well for one another, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Have you ever had anyone? Because I know sometimes people, when you get called up and you're like, so what size are you? And you're like, well, I'm always like, well, it depends. Because I'm a nightmare. I'm like, especially with trousers, if they're tailored, I'm like,
terrible.
Well, we'll see when we get there. But if anyone just say, oh, yes, I'm an 8, and then they show up and they're like, not even close to being the size that they've said.
I mean, sometimes it happens. What I tend to do is kind of, ask them where they buy things, what shops are good for them. If people are between sizes, and trousers, jeans are generally can be quite a nightmare for women, I think, because we are all different shapes. shops don't really, cater for us. What it was a 12 in one shop might be a 14 somewhere else, might be a 10 in a different shop.
Absolutely.
So I will always buy a selection of things. I will always go a size down, a size up, maybe another size up again, so that when you come into that fitting, you've got a range there, because there is nothing worse than having somebody there with a rail of clothes and nothing is going to fit, and you do have to keep, you want people to feel good, you want people to be confident in your abilities as well.
Yeah.
So I always kind of, as a matter of course, go up and down, when I'm sourcing things, because like I said, shops are so different.
Yeah.
Sometimes people forget their sizes. Sometimes people have changed. And because we wear a lot of stretchy clothes, we wear, people wear leggings and hoodies, oh, I'm a medium, I'm a small, So, yeah, sometimes it's tricky, but I'm always mindful to try and, keep that person's confidence in me and keep them comfortable and, not be upset.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because it's just trying to find the balance between the real person and the character and comfort and kind of colour and how it's going to look on the screen. And oh my gosh, so much, isn't it?
It is a lot. And we were talking about casualty, and so that's got another layer, because, you might have somebody who needs to have multiples of that costume because they're going to have an injury, it's going to get stained, bloody, you might have a stunt double, so that adds another sort of thing into it. So sometimes you might find something in a vintage shop, but there's only one of that. So unless you can go and get it made, it's not going to be suitable for everything. So it's always a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. Yeah.
But is there often, well, I guess it depends on the production, is there often budget to have things made from scratch? Like, say you can't get your hands on something, but that is the piece that you want, or you've got to duplicate it.
Yeah.
Is there budget for that, for you to go, we need this actually?
Yeah, well, it depends really. And I just think, the budgets are always kind of a bit of a balancing act, and it's where you want to put your money. So if there is something that I know that I've got to buy, 10, 15, 20 of, or there's something that is a real kind of plot point and I want that piece and we're going to have it made, then that's where I will put, the money, and then you sort of look where you can kind of, compromise in other places as well. Yeah. But then every budget is different. So the budget for like a continuing drama isn't the same as something that is like, a comedy, which isn't the same as, a kind of more higher band TV drama, and, and a film budget is something different again. So it's trying to kind of be resourceful and working with within those budgets that you've been set, and kind of trying to get the best out of it, really. So that it looks authentic and that it looks as good as it possibly can, even if it's on a limited budget.
It's that adaptability coming back to it again, and your creative kind of upbringing. It's like, it's just in you again, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I find really exciting about the job, is that resourcefulness and just thinking, well, how can we think about this in a different way?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, earlier when I was saying about do you have to be able to draw to be a costume designer, but do you have to be able to sew to be a costume designer?
I think it really helps, but again, not necessarily. Right. So within the costume department, you've got so many different sort of roles, really. You've got your standbys on set, you've got your supervisor, which is keeping everything ticking back on the truck or back at base, and then you do have costume makers as well, and they might not ever go on set. You've got people who are cutters and makers. I think the ability to sew is always great, because there will be those times when you're on the truck, something is called for, and you're like, right, okay, we're just going to cut this up and sew this. Being that resourcefulness again. It's a really good skill to have, but one that probably isn't essential. Right. But I think it's an understanding of how clothes and garments are made really, really helps, and the structure of things. Yeah,
for sure. And I guess the kind of knowing people's body shapes as well, does that help? Because I guess sometimes you can look at somebody and go, oh, that'll work. Yeah. Can you literally do that?
Oh, definitely. And it's people watching all the time, isn't it? And just seeing how people dress in real life, and what works on different body shapes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's so interesting. Has anyone ever come in, like, I mean, they've been cast in a role? I mean, it's probably maybe not that often, because there's always a bit of us in the character somewhere.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Have they ever had like such a massive transformation that you're like, oh my gosh, on camera you were a completely different person than you are like in real life? Have you ever had that experience?
Yeah, sometimes, and it's quite incredible to see that, you know, and especially if you know that actor from maybe another project or something. But yeah, it's quite amazing, and you know, sometimes that doesn't happen. You know, quite often, like you said, the actor will be cast because it suits that character. But yeah, sometimes, and especially when, you know, once they've been through hair and makeup as well, and they sort of step out and you go, oh right, okay. Wow.
Thank you so much for watching and listening. However you're consuming this podcast, please consider subscribing, liking and leaving us a 5-star review, as this helps us to reach a wider audience. Your support is very much appreciated. Now back to the show. So throughout your career, you've been a costume maker, costume supervisor,
Yes.
an assistant designer,
Yes.
and a costume designer.
Yes.
So is that all? Is that everything?
I think that's everything. Yeah,
Right.
I think it's everything.
Okay,
But,
and so can you, obviously costume maker is pretty obvious, right? We kind of know what they do.
Yeah.
But can you just like tell us about like the different roles that people play on set, and, you know, when they start getting involved, and maybe how many of each kind of department there are on set?
Yeah. So you've got your first port of call on set are your costume standbys. So they are the ones who will be behind the monitor. They'll be watching the takes. They will be looking after all of the characters, and they will go and check continuity. They will give you a nice sticky roller if you've got some dust on you. You know, they will check that the costumes are looking exactly how the designer wants them to look. They will take continuity photographs and take continuity notes, because, as you know, we film everything out of order. So they're responsible for all of that. Also, they're kind of a little bit, they sort of look after actors in terms of, you know, getting those warm coats in when it's cold and passing on the heat pads, things like that. And yeah, they're very sort of hands-on, and they usually have really good rapport with their actors, and that's kind of where I started.
Okay.
You'll also have a costume trainee now, which is great. So when I first started in the industry, coming from theatre, it was quite hard to get into trainee positions because there wasn't that many at the time. But now most productions will have trainees, 1 or 2 maybe, or a costume runner or an apprentice, and it's such a brilliant way into the industry. So every day for them might be different. They might be on the truck, they might be helping with the lineup for costumes for the following day, they might be doing returns, they might be shopping, they might be on set, you know, any number of things, and it's a really good sort of insight for them. And then you have your costume supervisor, which is usually back on the truck. So they're kind of like the linchpin, really. They're the link between the designer and what everyone's doing on set.
Okay.
They will kind of make sure that all the costumes are in the dressing rooms at the right time. When an actor comes back, they'll go and swap it over. They'll clear dressing rooms, set things up for the next day. And then, you know, the sort of higher band productions that you go, they'll have bigger costume departments. So they may have a truck supervisor and a costume supervisor. They may have an assistant costume designer.
Right.
So the bigger productions that you have, the bigger the teams tend to be.
Okay.
But generally, if I'm doing something that is sort of, you know, just a contemporary TV drama, then there would be me, a supervisor, maybe 2 standbys and a trainee, so sort of 5 of us. But then you have a dailies budget as well, so you would get other assistants in as you needed them. So if you've got a big crowd day, you've got lots of supporting artists in, you'd pull in more people. You might have a crowd costume supervisor if you've got, you know, a big sort of set piece with lots of different crowd in. So yeah, it's really, really varied. And then of course, like your costume makers, you know, you've got your people that you would either bring in, or you would send things out to them for, you know, alterations, making from scratch, you know.
Right.
It's there's a lot of roles within the department. So,
it's huge, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And are you personally going, oh, I know someone would be good for that, I know somebody would be good for that? So are you kind of like booking people as well? Or is there a whole like casting department for costume and wardrobe as well?
I mean, generally it comes from me, but also from like supervisors. If I've got a supervisor that I've always worked with, I'll go, well, who do you think we should have for this role? But generally, I kind of put the teams together.
Okay.
And we're so lucky in Cardiff. We've got so many good people. So sometimes, quite often actually, my core team might not be available. They might be on other projects. So, we've got lots of people that we work really well with, and we've got a lot of scope to get some really great people in.
Yeah. Gosh, that's so good. So you've got to have a massive like Rolodex of people, just in case somebody's not free, you've got to keep going through different people.
And we all work really well together, I think, and there's lots of people will pass other people on, like, I can't do this, but have you tried this person? So we do all speak in the background and kind of pass on good people, which is nice.
Because I was going to ask you about the costume designer community, which is a nice thing, because the drummer community says it's very unified. There's a lot of drummer love. Yeah, it is. Is it like that in costume design, or is it a little bit like, oh, I wish I'd got that gig? Oh, was it a bit like that?
Oh, yeah. It's always disappointing if someone's got a job that you really, really wanted, know. But no, I think we're all very supportive of each other. There's quite a lot of us in Cardiff. Thank goodness there's been a lot of work for everyone to sort of go around. And I think we are a supportive community. From, like I said, from designers, supervisors and standbys, it is very supportive, and people will generally pass things on and support each other. I've got my teeth in now. People are very supportive, and going back last year, actually, I think there was 2 jobs that I did where friends and colleagues, they couldn't do it for any reason and would ring me up and go, well, can you do this for me because I've got something else on? So, that's really lovely, and it's lovely to be able to do it the other way as well. If you can't do something, pass it on. So it's nice.
Yeah. So working your way through the ranks, like you said that you started kind of like on the standby kind of thing, and now you're like costume designer. Like that. How long has it taken you to kind of work all the way through that?
Let's have a think. I had a bit of a weird journey, not a weird journey, but I would call it a portfolio career.
Right.
So when I came out of Welsh College and I graduated from there, I was working straight away, but doing lots of theatre things, and I would get the odd sort of TV job now and again. And it just sort of grew quite slowly from there. And it probably took me a good sort of 5 or 6 years to sort of work my way from a standby up into a supervisor. And then I supervised solidly for about 4 or 5 years, which was great. I loved supervising, got to work with some great designers. It was just really, really exciting. I thought, no, this is good, and this is where I want to be. But I did always want to be a costume designer. So in the background, while I was sort of doing standby and supervising, I would always go and design smaller projects. So if there was something that was maybe a bit lower budget, or there was something that somebody was doing and needed me to go and do it, I did quite a few commercials, styling for those. So there were always small projects that I was doing as a designer in the background. And then I think it was probably about 2010, I think, and I just thought, no, I'm ready now, really want to design. And I got in touch with a few different producers that I knew, just said, look, this is what I'd really like to do, had a couple of interviews, and just kind of went from there, really. And it was definitely where I wanted to be, and sort of I felt that I'd kind of had that training, because I had come through the ranks of being a trainee and then a standby and a supervisor. I kind of felt I've got enough kind of background knowledge here to be able to do this properly. So so probably about 10 years to get to proper costume designing.
Yes,
I think.
I mean, the thing is, what's brilliant about that story is that you just kept going, and you knew that that's what you wanted to do. You're like, I'm doing my supervising, but I know I want to do that other thing, and I will take the kind of smaller gigs, the smaller jobs, and also it's building your portfolio, and then you can come to people and be like, I'm a costume designer. Yeah. Have you got a gig for me? Yeah, it's a bit like that, isn't it?
It is.
It's kind of being a bit even though you're amazing, it's that thing of kind of going, do you know what, I've got to, take these steps in order to get where I really, really want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's knowing the process as well. And it's kind of knowing when you're a supervisor, knowing what your standby needs and what your designer needs. And it's kind of knowing the whole kind of mechanics of how a shoot works and, not just kind of turning up and going, well, I've got all these ideas. I've no idea if they're going to work, but it's all those practical skills that come with it as well. And it's been a lovely journey. I've been very lucky.
Yeah, and you've absorbed all that information, and as you said, having worked through the ranks, you know what everybody does, don't you? From kind of the lower levels, kind of up to the upper echelons.
Yeah.
With the gold throne now, where you are.
I'm not quite sure about that.
Well, that's a lovely thing, and I think that probably is why you're so kind of loved on set,
Aww.
And it's so warm. The second I met you, I was like, I was like ringing down. She's really nice.
Well, quite often you might be the first person that speaks to your actor. Once you've been confirmed, it's usually either me, the second AD, that's ringing you to book your train to come down for a fitting, or the makeup designer. So quite often, I'd be the first person that you would speak to. So I think it's really important to kind of reassure your actor that you've got their best interests at heart.
Yes.
You understand the character, you've read the script, you know what's needed. So I think it's a really important thing to kind of you want to get them on side, you want to make them feel comfortable and relaxed.
Yeah, for sure. No, we definitely did. I was like, I didn't want to leave. I really didn't want to leave. So I was nice. When we finished filming, I was like, Lindsay, don't go.
It's such a nice environment there as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really friendly.
It really is, yeah, it's lovely. And what I found interesting as well, because I'm wearing my casualty trainers, not the actuals, and Lindsay's were much tidier than this, but I bought them afterwards, and that's one of your skills as well. It's like, actually, the second I saw my character trainers, I was like, those are really nice trainers. Thanks very much.
I'll have those.
And also, what I just have to put this on the record, you listened to me because I had
that's nice.
Yeah, you really did, because I had a foot injury.
You did?
Yes.
You did. Gosh, I remember it now, yeah.
And I was like, I can't wear anything flat. I can't wear flats. I've got to have a little bit of a wedge. And I was so appreciative of it. Because I did another job afterwards, and I was like,
okay.
So no listening to what I said. And honestly, I really appreciated that, because the other thing that I did, my feet would just kill it, even though I said to them, you can't wear the flats. And they just, we've got a little kind of gel insole thing. I was like, it's not going to work.
No,
it's not going to work.
Needs that elevation.
Yeah, so honestly, I was so comfortable on set the whole time because of you. And it was great. And my jumper was comfortable and my leggings were comfortable. And then my trainers were a delight. And then you took them away and you kind of, what did you do? You weathered them a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, we did a bit of breaking down on them. So again, because a lot of my work tends to be contemporary, sometimes if you've just been to the shops and you've shopped for everything looks box fresh, and it's not how people dress. It's not how people really look unless you are wearing a brand new outfit every single day. It's going to have creases in it, it's going to be a bit weathered, it's these trainers, they're not going to be completely box fresh and sparkling white. So we'd spray them down, we'd get a bit of sandpaper on them. We've got lots of little tricks up our sleeve to try and make things look lived in. And one of my key things is I always wash everything down in terms of the clothing, because quite often you'll see there'll be a line down the arms where it's been folded. Just fabric looks different when it's new. When you buy something off the peg and it's just very kind of stiff, and you want it to kind of look like this person's had it in their wardrobe for however long. If it's a bit of knitwear, sometimes we'll get a wire brush on it, to get the bobbling and just to try and make things look lived in. Sometimes we do have to put sort of like fake dirt on things if we're doing something that requires it. And we've got lots of little products and tricks that we use for that, just to make things look, greasy or sweaty or dirty, that we'll sort of add in and build those layers up. But that's another job actually that's in the costume department. So you can be a breakdown artist. And we've got some very good ones in Cardiff. Yeah, so they will specifically age, dye and break down costumes. And if you know, for example, if you're doing something like a big film or something that was period, you know, they would play a really big role in that, like making things look lived in or dirty. So yeah, that's another really good skill, very niche job, but
and getting it right so it doesn't look like, oh, they've tried to make that look old and actually it just looks...
And there is such a thing as bad breaking down as well, when you just go,
what's that?
okay. I've got a bit far on that one, but yeah.
Right.
So yeah, no, that's another really good job in the costume department.
Yeah. Gosh, so you're mixing stuff up. Isn't it funny for people say, we literally go outside and we get mud and then slap it on, imagine.
Yeah. No, we've got an amazing, my favourite product is called Clean Grease.
Right.
And I think it's actually a makeup product, and it's like a sort of, it's just like an oil-based grease. It's waterproof, but you only need a little bit, and it's brilliant for breaking down trainers as well, because you can literally just kind of like coat it and it just knocks that edge off. But then you can use it, like, you know, if someone's got oil on them or they're a mechanic or they've been crawling through the woods, you can kind of slap that on them. But yeah, we don't use the real mud.
Right.
For health and safety reasons.
Yes. That'd be weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You'd get in trouble. Gosh, so say like you've got some day players, like when I came in and did the show and everything, not that I was getting dirty or anything, but it's like after, and you've got the continuity photos and everything, so at the end of the day, then what happens once the actor has taken off their costume and then then it's, oh, bye, see you tomorrow? What do you guys do once we've all left the set?
Once you've left, so that is the time where all the dressing rooms get cleared. Things will go through the wash, things will get reset for the next day. Quite often, if it's a contemporary costume and we've got the budget, we'll buy a couple of versions of it, so we can have one in the wash and one kind of lined up. Sometimes you can't do that, so you're literally, somebody is hand washing in the sink, and just making sure that it's all lined up then for the next day. And then we are usually costume department are usually in an hour before unit call, then, just to kind of do the last minute bits of, you know, ironing or steaming, setting it in the rooms then for the next day for the actors. So it's just starts again.
Oh, wow. And do you hand wash because it's just safer than the machine?
It's quicker usually. If it's just the odd thing, we'll just kind of, you know, do a quick hand wash and a spin and that. I know on Casualty they've got so many scrubs for all the background artists, all the regular cast and everything. They may have like 2 or 3 versions of those scrubs, so there's always one lined up, and that will go in the machine then. But if it's something that you kind of need in a rush for the next day, we'll just do a little quick hand wash and then and then reset it for the next day.
Okay. Yeah. It's good that you've got lots of different versions of the same thing, because our actors are a nightmare for eating in their costumes.
Well, I mean, you know, lots of costume departments won't let actors eat in the costumes at all. Yeah. I mean, I think we're a little bit more lax on most of the productions that I do. But yeah, you know, quite often you'll come and go, oh, I've got, you know, I've got some ketchup on me or something. But yes, I mean, ideally we would get everyone to change before lunch. Doesn't always happen.
Yes.
But that's when, you know, we're all on hand with the stain wipes, or like I said, there might be a second or third version of something. So yeah, it's constantly, you know, checking. You know, sometimes they might have taken something off for lunch, come back and it's on back to front, or, you know, there's bits missing, you know.
Yeah,
so
it depends.
That's where our standbys come into their own, because they've got that photograph that they've taken after the first take, and they'll go, hang on, you know, and they can go and put that right before we turn over.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's unavoidable to get a little bit of something, because like there'll be like a high collar and you get a bit of makeup on it or something.
Absolutely.
So that's a pain, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
actors. I wouldn't eat in my costume. I didn't.
No, you're an angel.
Do you have a portfolio, like a little kind of memories book of everything you've done, or is it just too much stuff? Like,
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah. I've got, you know, my photo album, my digital photo album is very full, and I do need to sort of sort it out. So my portfolio at the moment, it kind of exists on my website. So that's where I've got sort of nice photography, like unit photography, things from the shows that I've done, but yes, in the background, there is probably every fitting photo that I've taken. There are mood boards, digital mood boards, things like that. So it doesn't exist in a proper portfolio as such. But yeah, it's all still there in the ether. And, you know, going back to when I first started, and we used to use Polaroid film as continuity photos, which most of my assistants now look at me like I'm a dinosaur, but I was like, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Because you would go and you would do your photo, that was it. You'd write your scene and episode number on it, you'd stick it in, bosh, done.
Perfect.
Then we went to digital photography, but we were still printing photos off. So I've still got continuity books from things that I've done, you know, years ago with those Polaroids and those digital photos physically stuck in the books.
Right.
But now everything is kind of done on iPad. So the continuity will be on an iPad, you know, you'll take the photo, it's all there, and it all gets kind of like uploaded to the cloud, so you can draw it down on it if you need it. If you've got pickups or anything, you can draw down on it. So yeah, everything is there in the ether somewhere, but it doesn't exist as a body of work.
Got you. I've got you. Is there anything that you like when you were younger, obviously, like not now, you know, it's like when you look back on it, you think, oh, what was I thinking there?
Oh yeah. Oh my. Oh
Really?
yeah. There's been some howlers.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
yes. I can remember doing a little World War II docudrama when I was, you know, very inexperienced, and just things like, you know, I'll look back and there's a massive crease along the trousers where I'd literally just taken them off the metal hanger. You know, yes, of course, there's loads of things. You know, the whole thing is a learning curve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember dressing a load of school children who were supposed to be on like an outward bound course, and it was drummed into us, so you couldn't use anything with any logos or branding on. So I bought them all these plain T-shirts, and when they'd sort of sat in a semicircle. And when I looked at the camera, they were in like a rainbow order. They'd sort of ordered themselves like this, trying to move them around and switch them, because just the way they'd sat, they were like the colours of the rainbow going around. And you know, sometimes you will do a costume and you'll go, this is great. You'll get them on set and go, oh, you've just blended into the wall. You know, it'll be the same colour. So yeah, it's, you know. We all make mistakes. We never get it 100% right. But yes, it's every day's a school day. I always say that. You learn something on every job, and, you know, hopefully don't do it again.
Yes. Oh, funny. Has there ever been any crossover, like, you know, because you were saying before, like, how sometimes you'll show up and the director or the producer will be like, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, actually, do you know, I'm going to keep that one on the back burner for later on. Or is it literally, oh, okay, so it's, yeah.
Yeah, I do. I kind of keep thinking, yeah, I do. Quite often that happens. Like sometimes you'll present your fitting photos, and they will go, oh, no, don't like that. And you can take it, you know, you have to take the feedback on board, you know, and you take their creativity on board as well, offer up some alternatives. But there's quite a few occasions where I've gone, I think that's going to work. I'm just going to hang on to it. Right. And then maybe as the production's gone on, I might reintroduce it, re-photograph it. Maybe when the original photograph was sent, maybe the actor didn't have the hair done, didn't have their makeup on, and you kind of represent it again. I will, if I really believe that something is right, I will try and kind of represent it at some point and get it in there. And maybe 8 times out of 10, it works.
Yes. Because you know what you're doing.
Yeah. And also, you know, you do have a lot of you have a lot of people that have to sort of sign off on costumes. It depends, not on every job. Like I did a comedy show back last year where I was sort of sending photos through and I wasn't getting any response. I was like, are you just happy? And they were like, yeah, no, just carry on. It's all fine. So some jobs I'm kind of given, you know, absolutely free rein to do it. Mm-hmm. But, you know, obviously if they hated something, I would say, okay, we'll change it.
Yeah.
But generally on jobs, you know, you've got to get your costumes approved by, you know, the director, the producer, the exec producers. It's got to work with your production designer and what they're doing. It's got to work with your makeup designer, your location. So, you know, there's quite a lot of things to kind of get right there, and that's why you have tone meetings where, you know, all the departments are there and you're discussing the whole tone of a piece, and then that's got to be kind of escalated up and it's got to be signed off by, you know, producers, execs, maybe sometimes the channel as well that's going to be broadcast on. But, you know, like I said, every job's different. Some things are smaller and it's a bit more free. So yeah, there's lots of things to kind of get right. But I think if you really believe in something, then you kind of want to fight for it a little bit, but then there is a point where you go, no, okay, yes, you were right, I'll change that. And it's really important that the commissioners and people who are producing this piece of TV or film, that they're getting what they want as well. So yeah, it's lots of levels to kind of go through.
Yeah, lots of discussions.
Yeah.